Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the St. Louis Cardinals. What a weekend it has been at Citi Field. Friday night, a seminal moment in Mets history. Johan Santana carving the first no-hitter in New York Mets history and proving to be inspirational as a Mets team that has surprised all year has found new life. R.A. Dickey following up Santana's exploits with a shutout of his own. And then last night with the Mets in black uniforms for the first time this year, John Neese battled a rapid heartbeat but still struck out 10 Cardinals in 6 innings. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you as the Mets try to complete a 4-game sweep of the Cardinals, and if they win today, take over sole possession of first place in the National League East. And it's all been about the pitching, starting with Santana's extraordinary feat on Friday night.
Well, remember, this was the St. Louis club that came in here leading the league in hitting. This was no slouch, and Mets pitching has dominated, starting pitching in particular, obviously. And I think it all started, Gary, with the no-hitter. And I think with all the perseverance that has shown, and Johan Santana has shown his comeback in 1 year from surgery, I think it's been an inspiration. I really feel that, and I think that Dickey, who has his own story of perseverance, followed it up, and then Neese. So you've got, what, 24 scoreless innings, consecutive scoreless innings against the Cardinals with an amazing 27 strikeouts.
And today the mantle gets passed to Dylan G, and Dylan is coming off 3 pretty good starts in a row.
Well, Dylan had the lead, left the game, that big fiasco when we were out in the Pepsi ports. That game kind of fell apart. But he's coming off of 3 very, very good starts. 3 games that, the games he could have won. So he's pitched really, really well. I thought his last 2 starts, he's really picked it up.
The suddenly reeling Cardinals will have their opening day starter, Kyle Lohse, a guy the Mets have handled very well.
Well, he got off to a great start, Gary, that 5-1 record, but his last 4 starts, he has not had a decision. He's been roughed up. The Mets have traditionally beat him up over 9 career starts. He's 2-4 with an ERA almost 6, and here at New York, he's got a ballooned ERA of over 9.
So it's the Mets and the Cardinals wrapping up a 4-game series. Mets are 7-3 in the homestand, finishing it off today right here on SNY. NY is brought to you by Partners Executive Transportation, driving you around the world. By AT&T, rethink possible. By Cholula Hot Sauce, the flavorful hot sauce with the iconic wooden cap. By Bud Light. And by Geico. REO Speedwagon is coming to Citi Field for a post-game concert Friday, June 15th to kick off the Mets post-game concert series presented by Dwayne Reed and Ben & Jerry's. Catch REO Speedwagon live at concert after the Mets-Reds game. Get to Mets.com. Time for a drive around the majors presented by Mazda. The Braves got 7 strong innings from Tommy Hanson and beat the Nats 3-2 yesterday. Carlos Zambrano not only pitched, he also had a long home run, his 24th career home run, as the Marlins beat the Phillies 5-1, and the Rays knocked off the O's. Matt Moore finally get himself a victory with 6 good innings, an 8-4 Rays win, and they are now in first place by a game in the American League East. Dylan G trying to keep up the zeros for the Mets starters, 24 in a row. See how far G can take it today. First pitch coming right up. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Brooklyn Burger, the premium steakhouse burger and the official burger of the New York Mets. Be sure to visit Keith's Grill at Citi Field, located on the field level behind section 132 and the promenade level behind home plate, to enjoy Keith's favorite Brooklyn burgers.
Oh. And a Tootsie Pop, too.
And some enjoyment going on right there. Got to get you a napkin. Dylan G getting set to take the mound on a kind of a dreary afternoon. It rained most of the morning here at Citi Field, but the rain stopped just in time for them to get the tarp off the field and get it ready for play right on time. There's your Ford starting lineup for the suddenly struggling Cardinals, who've lost 5 in a row to fall to 500 on the year. 3 games, make it 5 games behind the first place Reds in the National League Central. Adrian Chambers gets his 2nd straight start in center field. Carlos Beltran, Rafael Furcal, Matt Holliday, all struggling at the top of that St. Louis lineup in this series.
And there's Dylan G. Had a no decision his last time out in that Philadelphia game that really fell apart. Went 6 innings, gave up 2 runs. Couldn't get that out of that 7th inning. That line drive that went over the head of Torres was his downfall. But he's won 2 in a row, and he's pitched well his last 3 times out. And the Lexus Metzi defense, well, that's too many errors. You don't want to make that many errors over a course of 30 games. But you know what? They've been winning, and what can you say? You got Quintanilla at shortstop, who's kind of patching it in. And there you look at Mike Matheny, the beleaguered, befuddled manager of the Cardinals.
Well, the Cardinals got off to a great start this year. Looked like they had fully survived the loss of Pujols and La Russa and Duncan, but they have had injuries catch up with them. Their offense was carrying them for most of the season, but their offense, which came into this series with the highest batting average, the most home runs, and the most runs scored in the National League, has been completely stymied by the Mets staff in these 3 games. And there are the standings in the National League Central.
Well, the Cardinals at 3.5 back, as you see there, and at 500. That's the most critical number right there. They're coming to New York here and ran into a buzzsaw of fine starting pitching.
So a lot of pressure on Mark McGwire right now for the Cardinals to reclaim their offense here today.
Over all these years, the game hasn't changed. You run good pitching out there, that is still the name of the game.
Rafael Furcal will lead things off. Furcal, who's having a fine year, just 1 for 12 in this series, 9th in the National League with that .319 batting average. The Cardinals still lead the league in batting average and home runs, but they've fallen to 2nd in the league in runs scored, with just 1 run in the first 3 games of this series. That run scored in the 8th inning last night off first-time reliever Elvin Ramirez. First pitch of the night coming from Dylan G, and it's in for a call strike to Furcal, and we're underway. Furcal, Beltran, and Holiday for the Cardinals in the opening inning.
Oh, threw that one.
Fastball swung and missed with 0-2.
Threw it by him inside. And this is what I spotted last time, Gary, was G running that hard fastball up and down on left-hand hitters and locating.
And he gets Furcal on 3 pitches. Fastball, 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 sit down.
Oh, boy. I don't know what I'd do. That's right down the pipe. Ouch.
Well, Met pitchers have not only been throwing strikes, they have been striking people out in droves. The Cardinals struck out 14 times in the game last night, including 10 for John Neese, a career high. And a curveball in for a strike to Carlos Beltran. Beltran, who was responsible for for 2 of those strikeouts last night. 2 for 13 in this series. And he flies 1 foul. G's thrown 5 pitches, all for strikes. Well, those are the pitching lines, and you just don't get much better than that.
You know, the only blemish is the 5 walks by Santana, but that's a wash with a no-hitter and a shutout. Dickey just brilliant. I just think R.A. has really come into his own, and really the confidence is just exuding from him.
All the strikeouts, the lack of walks.
Oh.
And Beltran is down on the changeup. So G strikes out back-to-back hitters to start the game.
I tell you what, this is wicked. Look at this break right here. Little cutter. Oh, boy. Right through the glove, down and in. What a pitch.
So G picks up where Neese left off yesterday, striking out his first 2 hitters. G recently set his career high for strikeouts with 9. Here's Holiday, 1 for 11 in the series, hitting at .271. And G finally throws his first ball.
Oh, it's his first right-hand hitter. Holiday 1 for 11 in the series. Oh, good change. I tell you what, he's coming out of the chute with all command of all of his pitches, Gary.
Well, we saw it in his last start against the Phillies. He pitched a terrific 6 innings in that game. Got unfortunate because the bullpen did not back him up. Holiday hits it out to right, but right at Duda. And so G has a 1-2-3 inning to start the afternoon. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the first with no score. Lineup for today. Kirk Neuenhuis, who's had a spectacular last couple of days, will lead off. Andres Torres, who had a great night last night, right behind him, as the Mets try and keep it going against the veteran right-hander Kyle Lewis.
Well, the former Philly, now St. Louis Cardinal. He's in a little bit of a tailspin after a real quick start.
See there, the lefty's been tearing him up, and Neuenhuis takes a strike.
He's a guy that gives up a lot of hits, Garrett. He's 67 innings, 71 hits, and they've been coming in bushels the last 4 starts.
Neuenhuis, 3 hits, 3 RBIs last night, including his 3rd home run, and he had a couple of at-bats last night where he had swings just like that. I call them Bernie Carbo at-bats, where you just have a horrible swing and then you hit a bullet the next pitch.
He just keeps plugging, Gary. And I said it from the beginning, and there you go. He follows that slider in out of the strike zone 2 in a row. But you know, he can do this, like you said, for 3 at-bats and then get up his 4th at-bat with the game on the line, and the son of the gun puts a good swing on it and gets a base hit. So for a young hitter, Neuenhuis, he's shown me a lot of fortitude.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Andres Torres, who had 3 hits last night, including a 2-run triple that helped put the game away. Torres at .232, but his on-base percentage still very high at .356. There is a crunch coming in the Mets outfield, probably tomorrow. Jason Bay is going to play in the outfield on rehab today, and if all goes well, Jason will rejoin the Mets tomorrow in Washington. Little tapper down to first, and Craig makes the toss to Loesch for the 2nd out.
We'll take a look at the Coors Light Cardinal defense. Day game here, followed by the night game, of course, last night. And they always play good defense, the Cardinals. They're a solid organization, teach fundamentals. Descalzo's at second base, and Chambers in center today.
Here's David Wright with 2 out and nobody on. David 3 for 9 in this series with a couple of doubles and a home run. Anyway, Bay comes back tomorrow. You got, Neuenhuis, Torres, and Duda playing just about every day in the outfield. Scott Harriston playing occasionally against the left-handers, and all of a sudden that mix is going to change. And you don't know for sure what player move the Mets are going to make, although they have a couple of fringe guys on the bench like Josh Satin and Vinny Rotino who might go down. But the more important question is who's going to be playing every day once Bay returns.
Well, I like the job Rotino has done. I think he's 32 years old. He's up in the big leagues. Hit his first home run this year, major league home run. He's a definite threat up there.
Out to right center, angling in Chambers, and gives way to the right fielder Beltran, who makes the catch. Chambers looked a little lost, so Carlos bailed him out. Last year, David Freese became the 6th player to be MVP of the LCS and the World Series. The other 5, please. Yadier Molina leads off in the 2nd inning. Molina, one of the few bats which is clicking for the Cardinals in this series. And G throws in the slider, gets even 1-1.
Well, this slider has become something now that G has really moved it up a notch. And it gives him 2 breaking balls, Garrett. And you know what? He's throwing his fastball. He's mixing all of his pitches up. Remember, he's only thrown 2 changeups in the 1st inning.
Alan Craig on deck, then David Freese here in the 2nd. Molina hitting a lusty .335, 5th in the National League. 3 for 8 in this series.
8 home runs. His career high in home runs was last year at 14.
So he just keeps getting better and better, and there's the good changeup to get him. So G's faced 4 batters, struck out 3 of them as the Mets strikeout barrage continued.
Right down the middle, sink under the bat.
I mean, to me, Keith, this has been the most surprising part about the Mets' performance as a pitching staff. You've got a staff that doesn't really have a lot of overwhelmingly hard throwers, and yet they are striking people out in large numbers.
Well, one of them's a knuckleballer, and really G is a right-handed version of Santana with the great off-speed pitch. You don't need, when you have a great changeup, Garrett, you really don't need to throw, 97 miles an hour.
Alan Craig 1 for 8 in this series, just trying to stay healthy these days, and he takes a strike.
Here's the grip, and you can see it's almost like a 3-fingered, and then the index finger, the baby finger is kind of circled. Now watch him kind of throw 3/4 and keep it going. Look at the rotation of the ball. The rotation of the ball is kind of a side spin, and that's what gives it the sink. That is a terrific shot right there, guys. That is, and that gives him the sink. And you can see it sinking from this end.
And as a hitter, with the side spin and the sink, is that harder to pick up than a guy who would stay on top of the ball and just get that straight action like Santana does?
Well, the only thing is, Garrett, he's got to throw his fastball and other pitches for that same point. He can't not throw over the top and then to get sink, drop his arm where he releases the ball, his arm angle, because that is Western Union.
2-2 to Craig, and he fouls it off.
Now the one difference in pitching today, and I agree 100%, is that you see a lot more lefties throwing changeups to lefties, righties throwing changeups to righties. It would be an adjustment that I would have to make as a hitter.
Craig hit it a second time. It's a foul ball. Broke his bat. Well, the Mets starters have just been phenomenal over these last couple of weeks. Mets have won 10 of their last 14, and over that span, the starters are 10-1. Look at the strikeouts. More than a strikeout per inning over these last 2 weeks.
And almost seven innings per start. And that right there is going to, over time, is going to have tremendous impact on that bullpen down there.
Two, and Craig bounces one foul.
To me, the quality start, Garrett, should not be 6 innings, 3 runs. It should be 7 innings and 3 runs. That's a quality start. You're just lowering the bar as far as I'm concerned. It works great in negotiation, though, doesn't it?
Well, it's a minimum. Craig pops one foul. Right coming back near the tarp, but that's in the crowd. Anyway, we started a discussion the last half inning about what's going to happen with the Mets outfield situation when Jason Bay returns. And I guess there are a number of different ways that Terry Collins can go as far as allocating the playing time. What do you think is the best solution to what I guess has to be a pretty pleasant problem?
Well,
and the curveball gets Craig looking. That's 4 strikeouts for G.
There's that big curve. He starts at the shoulder. Really freezes Craig. I think Bay's going to play. I mean, he's got the contract. He's going to play. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean if Jason comes back and doesn't produce, there's no guarantees he's going to stay in the lineup. His team has performed well in his absence, and I'm sure Jason feels very good about that.
David Freese has the first hit for the Cardinals. He makes 3 straight games without a no-hitter for the Mets.
Well, we know one thing. Heist has to play. Oh, right, Gary. I hear you. I was waiting for that one. Getting spoiled. Jeez. You were very patient all these years.
I was just
50 years.
I was just making a note. There's no sentiment involved. Just strictly informational. Here's Daniel Descalzo with 2 out and a runner at first. So I agree with you. I think Bay's going to play, at least initially. And you hate to break up the chemistry of something that's been working, but you're paying a guy $15-16 million a year. He's going to play. He's certainly going to get the first crack at it. So the question is, how do you then allocate the playing time to Neuenhuis, to Torres, to Duda? And is Ike Davis part of that conversation as well?
There lies the rub, Gare, as Mr. Shakespeare would say. What do you do with Ike? He did not look good the other night, last night. Do you send him down, let him find his stroke? The team is playing well. Move Duda to first. I would, it's not the end of the world to get sent down. And think, if Ike goes down and finds his stroke, and then he comes back up, say, if you send him down now, and I'm not saying by any means here that Ike should go down. We're just talking about the possibilities here. And he finds his stroke, say, and you bring him back after the All-Star game. Or bring him back in August and you get 2 months of Ike what he did last year. Boy, what a lift that would be.
G takes care of Descalzo. 5 strikeouts in the first 2 innings for G. 0 becomes a 1. Every once in a while.
8,020 games.
Lucas Duda leads off the home second for New York. Lucas 3 for 11 in this series with 5 RBIs. 4 of those coming in Santana's no-hit game on Friday night. And the curveball from Kyle Ocean for a strike, 0-2.
And Lucas with 8 home runs, 6 here at Citi Field.
The 8 home runs leading the ball club. 2 more than Wright and Harriston, each of whom have 6. And he gets tied up and stopped the swing in time. Fielding Colberth with a call, 1-2.
They just continue to stay in Lucas's kitchen. They pitching them inside. And boy, they make a mistake, they pay the price.
Now Loesch with the 1-2 and the changeup away. Daniel Murphy on deck. Ike Davis behind him as the Mets bat in the second. Lost in the fact that the Mets have pitched so incredibly well in this series is the fact that they scored 19 runs in the first 3 games.
And Duda gets the count from 0-2 to 3-2. And that has been a prevailing pattern for Met hitters this year. Last night, they worked Jake Westbrook for 35 pitches in the first inning. It was a classic. They only got 1 run out of it, but that paid its price later on. Playing on the outfield grass, Descalzo throws out Duda for the first down. 1 out and nobody out. Let's check out the Subway Mets upcoming schedule. You can listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. 9-game road trip starting tomorrow night in D.C. against the Nats, whom the Mets are percentage points behind in the National League East. 3 with the Nats, then 3 at Yankee Stadium, and then to Tampa Bay to play the AL East leading Rays before the Mets come home to play the Reds a week from Friday. Here's Daniel Murphy. Murphy riding an 8-game hitting streak. In this series, he's gone 5 for 12 with a double, a triple, 3 RBIs. Up and down the Mets lineup, the Mets are getting productive at bats, and Murphy a big part of that.
Well, Murph has really been the unsung hero here. If you recall, when everybody was healthy, he was hitting in the 2 position, and he's been put down in the 5th hole, particularly when Bay went down, because there was no one else in there that could maybe drive in runs.
It's sharply Descalzo, the nice backhand stop. 2 out.
But Murph has done quite well in that 5th hole.
And they'll still bat him second against left-handers, but for a guy who doesn't hit home runs, Murphy's been awfully solid in what is considered an RBI position.
Well, you don't have to hit home runs to drive in a lot of runs. You just got to hit 300.
Well, here's Ike Davis, and you know, we were talking about Ike a moment ago as far as what the Mets are going to do when Bay comes back, which looks like it's going to happen tomorrow. The one caveat about the idea of sending Ike down as he lifts this one to left is it would have such a negative impact on the defense. You wonder, with things going well, whether the Mets would even consider that. We'll talk more about that after the inning break. Ike flies out on the first pitch. Loesch's retired the first 6. No score after 2. What the impact on this team would be if they decided that, you know, for Ike's betterment and for the team's betterment to send him to the minor leagues when Jason Bay comes back, move Duda to first base. But the question is, for the team as a whole, which obviously has been playing awfully well as Adrian Chambers leads off for the Cardinals in the 3rd, would what you would lose defensively make that move worthwhile?
Well, you're talking to an old first baseman here, Gare, so I really feel that it is a neglected position and much underrated as far as its importance defensively.
Chambers pops up the bunt, and Nicky is out to grab it.
Oh, almost got right in the coconut. Watch this. Not so fast.
Surprise. Mike hasn't played in a week. He was a little frisky there.
Speaking of importance of first base, that man right there, we just saw David Wright. Look how David's been throwing this year. We've noticed from the get-go. There's no longer an issue with David's throwing, and a lot has to do with Ike over at first. And the infielders have confidence in someone that they can make a bad throw in the dirt, and it's going to be picked. And we know that Ike is very adept at first base. He's a solid first baseman over there. So, yes, it's important. I don't think Ike's not going down at this point. To me, there are other players that have been called up that are on the bench right now that can go down. But you know, we were talking, Gary, when Bay comes back, Torres is going to be the fourth outfielder.
Loesch just bounces one foul. So at the end of the day, if Ike's not going down, it would appear as though what would make the most sense would be for Bay, Nieuwenhuis, and Duda to play in the outfield, and Torres to be your fourth outfielder. Does that make the most sense to you?
That makes the most sense. And you know what? Lost in all this is what an unfortunate injury to Baxter. He was doing such a great job, Mike, and of course made that great catch that saved the no-hitter for Santana. One of the two plays that were the difference in the ball game in the no-hitter.
Loesch with the comebacker. 2 out.
But what Baxter brought, what Baxter started and led off, the team was winning with him. He was hitting, he walks, he could run, he played a good outfield, he could hit, that's for sure. And it also gave the platoon with him and Harriston.
But do you think if Baxter were healthy, if he weren't on the DL now for 6 weeks with the collarbone and the rib injuries, that with Bay coming back, that he'd be still starting, or
no,
would he go back to being
Bay with
the pinch hitter?
Whitey Herzog always said, when you have injuries, you weaken your bench because you're depleting your bench because you got to run them out there and start. So what happens with Bay back? You hope that Bay can come back and be the old Bay, and then you have Harriston and Baxter on your bench. Your bench is a lot stronger because you National League, as you know, without the DH, you need a bench.
Rafael Furcal takes on, and just one more thing about Bay's return. With Jason in the lineup, it gives you a lot more lineup balance lefty-righty. Because you look at the Mets' numbers so far this year, they have really struggled when a lefty has started against them. The Mets are 24-9 when a righty starts against them, 7-14 against lefties.
They are overloaded, that's for sure, on the left side.
Furcal hits it out to center. Long run in for Torres, and it drops. So a 2-out hit for Furcal, the second hit for the Cardinals. That'll bring up Carlos Beltran, who struck out his first time up.
So the whole thing hinges upon whether Bay hits. And if Bay hits like the old Bay, it's going to be a plus for the ball club. And you know one thing, Bay's a gamer. He's an unselfish player and knows how to play the game. He just hasn't performed offensively.
Well, he hasn't played in 6 weeks. And he was hitting .240 when he went down. But he's going to get the chance to, to go out there and show what he can do. And it's been, Jason's entire Mets career has been one of fits and starts, whether it was the concussion in L.A. or the oblique right at the end of spring training last year, or now this rib injury that he suffered 3 weeks into the season.
Furcal with 8 stolen bases, only caught twice.
He has already struck out 5. He's never struck out more than 9 in a game, and that 9 came a couple of weeks ago against the Padres. And now he's behind Beltran, 2-0, second straight hitter. He's fallen behind 2-0. Carlos still leads the National League in home runs with 15, third in the league in RBIs with 42. But the Mets have cooled him down, just 2 for 14 in this series. You know who's thrilled that Carlos Beltran is a St. Louis Cardinal? The Cardinals started today, Kyle Loesch. Beltran has ridiculous numbers against Loesch. 22 for 39.
Ooh,
that's .564.
Hunt.
Happy doesn't have to face him anymore. Loves to swing 3-0 and grounds one down to Davis. Boy, we saw that in Carlos' entire Mets career. Loves to swing 3-0 as much as anybody in the game. That gets G through the third with no score. Cardinals finale with insider info and opinion, plus up-to-the-minute Mets news as they get ready for their series opener against the Nationals in D.C. on Mets Blog, presented by Verizon, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Omar Quintanilla leads off the home third in a scoreless game. Kyle Loesch has retired the first 6. Quintanilla 0 for 4 in this series, but has drawn 3 walks and been hit by a pitch.
Well, when he got called up, he was just there to be stopgap and give some defense at shortstop, and he has provided that. He's got a very fine glove.
Making his 6th start since taking over the spot when Ronnie Cedeno got hurt. Justin Turner got hurt, leaving Quintanilla as the 4th choice, and so far a pretty good one. And this has been the way it has gone for the Mets every time they have reached down to Buffalo or Binghamton to bring up a piece. That player has come up and performed well. And Omar fouls one at the plate. 2-1. It'll be Quintanilla, then Mike Nickius and Dylan G for the Mets in the third. The Mets have never swept a 4-game series from the Cardinals in New York. They have done it in St. Louis, most notably in 1986.
I remember it well. That was my Maurice Chevalier imitation.
Ah, I remember it well.
Ozzie Smith
in the powder blue.
Yes.
Quintanilla socks one deep right field, headed toward the corner. That ball is off the fence on a bounce and into the stands for a ground rule double. So Quintanilla hooking one down the line for 2 bases.
Got a changeup, too much of the plate. Off the pole. Yep. That was tough to read that from this angle, wasn't it?
So Quintanilla has his 3rd double among his 6 hits as a Met. And the Mets have their first base runner of the day with Mike Nickius coming up. Nickius starting his first game in 6 days. Josh Tolley came off the DL and started the first 3 games of this series. Nickius winning for the moment the battle of the backups, sticking around with Rob Johnson getting sent back down when Tolley was activated, and which I think came as a surprise to some people.
Well, Rob Johnson really hit well and did a fine job. But a lot of thought goes into chemistry with this club, with Sandy Alderson and Terry Collins.
And the pitchers love throwing to Nickius as a group. They They are unanimous in their praise of Nickius for his game calling, for the way he receives the ball. They, you know, their pitchers are very picky about who they like to throw to, and it wasn't a knock on Johnson at all. It was just they've got a lot of confidence in Mike's ability behind the plate.
And Nickius drives one deep left field down the line. Foul.
Nickius, who had a grand slam earlier on this homestand, makes a bid.
Oh, nice catch.
By the way, speaking of chemistry, and you would know that about that as a team captain and such things, what a great ceremony last night here at Citi Field, honoring John Franco on his induction into the Mets Hall of Fame.
Well, much deserved, Johnny. Congratulations. Of course.
Johnny is, after all, one of only 3 captains in Mets history.
He had 276 saves in his Met career. One of the guys with more saves on the same team are Mariano Rivera, Trevor Hoffman, Eckersley, Troy Percival, and Jeff Montgomery.
And Johnny with 424 saves overall, more than any left-hander in history. 14 years as a Met. It was a terrific night last night for Johnny and his family.
I remember Johnny in a red uniform. Literally in a red uniform. He was no day in the park to hit off of.
Remember, he began in the Dodgers organization and came to the big leagues with the Reds, and Mets picked him up in the trade for Randy Myers before the 1990 season.
He threw hard. You know, John's not the biggest guy in the world, and he threw hard with a fastball that ran in on your hands. And he had a good hard slider.
But it was that wicked changeup that made him.
Which I never saw because I was a lefty-lefty. He didn't like to throw it to lefties.
And it's funny because I think Dusty Baker was the first to do it. He would send up left-hand hitters against Johnny on purpose to take that changeup away from him.
But he had 3 effective pitches. It just wasn't a one pitch wonder. And great command of his pitches too. And of course he had guts. Any successful closer comes in those days when you come in with the men on base. In the heat of it, you got to have guts.
3-2 to Nickius, and the breaking ball hit to center. Chambers right there. And not deep enough for Quintanilla to move. That's the first out of the inning.
New York City zone.
These are some of the scenes from last night, and appropriately, when John Franco was introduced, he walked in from the bullpen here at Citi Field. There he is with the great Jay Horowitz. And Johnny was moved to tears on more than one occasion last night, particularly when he talked about his late parents. There he is with the St. John's Brain Trust, Jack Kaiser, Luke Carnesecca, and throwing out the first pitch to his son, JJ, which was just tremendous. JJ, now a baseball player and student at Brown University. So it was a terrific ceremony. Howie did a great job emceeing it. Al Leiter made a terrific speech as one of Johnny's teammates, and there's some of the particulars on John Franco, who wore that number 31 initially, as G hits a hot shot to third, and Freeze able to throw him out as Quintanilla, after the throw, takes third base.
He put that ball, but watch this. He went between his legs like a basketball player. Look at this. What?
He did.
As a result, he did not feel he had time to look back. Quintanilla very alertly advances. Very alertly.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I've never.
By the way, our stat guy Dave Freed looked it up. You were 0 for 9 against Johnny Franco.
I know, he was tough.
0 for 9. You weren't 0 for 9 against anybody.
I used to choke up an inch. I choked up on Johnny 2 inches because he had that fastball that ran into my hands.
So now Neuenhuis with a runner at third and 2 out. And Kirk swings at the changeup.
Well, you see that Neuenhuis struck out his first time up on curveballs, down and in out of the strike zone. I don't think he's going to get a lot of fastballs in this off Loesch. That was a leadoff changeup right there.
Runner at third and 2 out. And he hits one softly, charging Descalzo, and makes the glove flip to end the inning. So the Mets get a leadoff double. Can't bring Quintanilla around. Some fancy glove work by David Freese, looking like Marcus Haynes over at third base. No score after 3.
Nate Archibald.
Matt Holliday leads off the 4th inning in a scoreless game. Holliday flied out to right his first time up. And that's drilled down the left field line, and Holliday's got an extra base hit. Played in the corner by Nieuwenhuis, and Holliday pulls in with his 9th double of the year, a rocket shot against Dylan G, the Cardinals' 3rd hit of the game. So Yadier Molina coming up with a runner in scoring position. Time to check in with Kevin, who's outside the Verizon studio with a guest.
Well, you know, we haven't seen the Mets bullpen too much in this series, Garrett. That's been a good thing for them. But Tom of Long Island and I here, we're schmoozing bullpen a little bit. And it is the Verizon Ask the Booth day. So coincidence, it worked out perfectly. And Tom has a question for you guys.
When can we expect to see Mejia, and in what capacity?
All right, guys, take it away.
Well, I don't know about timing. That ball's hit toward the middle. Nice play by Murphy, and he throws out Molina. So Murphy smartly to his right keeps Yadier Molina from getting a base hit, keeps Holliday at third.
And Murph continues to really be showing tremendous improvement with his glove. That's not an easy play. And what I like, and we'll get back to the question, is that he's more natural fielding, not more robotic and mechanical. He's more natural.
Let's see how the Mets are going to play their infield now. Scoreless game, 4th inning. Alvin Craig the batter.
Halfway, all the way around halfway. Everybody's got a shot on the ground to throw out the runner at the plate.
Holliday not a particularly fast man at third. Craig struck out looking his first time and takes the curveball for a strike. Anyway, the question about Mejia was when and what capacity. What capacity I think will almost certainly be in the bullpen this year. Maybe not in the future, but for the foreseeable future this year, if Mejia comes up, it'll be in the pen. As for the timing, I think Pedro Beato is the next guy on the horizon for that bullpen, because Beato, coming back from his shoulder problems, looks like he's close to being ready. Mejia will probably be the guy after that. Now the Mets have 2 other pitching moves they're going to make tomorrow. They're going to activate Chris Young, who's going to start tomorrow night in Washington, and Miguel Batista's coming back from the disabled list, so it's becoming a little more crowded on that pitching staff. Craig hits one late and hits it right over the bag for a base hit to bring in the game's first run.
Holiday is in to score. Craig with a 2-out single, and it's 1-0 St. Louis. And after 27 scoreless innings by Mets starting pitchers, Dylan G gives up a run.
Wants it up right down the middle, but not up enough. It's a letter high fastball down the pipe. He wanted up in the chin or around the eye level to get the guy to chase. But good hitting right there by Craig. So there he is, the man of the hour. What a performance. I have not had a chance to talk to him since the no-hitter. I missed the last 2 games and can't wait to get him on the airplane and tell him how much he's held in esteem with me, or how much I respect him for everything that he does as a professional.
Well, speaking of Johan, the Mets have just announced their rotation for the next 2 series. And, you know, the fact that Johan had to throw 134 pitches to get through that no-hitter Friday night has had an impact on the way they have set up their rotation against the Nationals and the Yankees. G behind on Freeze 2-0. And he hits the comebacker. A chance for 2. Who's going to cover? Murphy does. 1-4-3 double play ends the inning.
Nice.
Not sure if Murphy was just getting in Quintanilla's way, but he was in the right spot to make the play at second base. And the Mets turned the 1-4-3 to get through the inning. 1-0 St. Louis.
Let the shortstop have it.
Mets down by a run as they come to bat in the bottom of the 4th. Torres right and Duda up. Andres grounded out to first base his first trip, facing Kyle Loesch, and the sinker, a ball and a strike. Anyway, we teased you before the break about the Mets rotation in Washington and in the Bronx. Here's how it's going to go. Chris Young comes up to make his first start since his shoulder surgery tomorrow night. And then Jeremy Hefner is going to get slotted in on Wednesday. That enables R.A. Dickey to pitch on normal rest on Thursday afternoon in Washington. There was some talk about Dickey going on short rest Wednesday, but the Mets have opted against that. So Hefner goes Wednesday, Dickey Thursday, and then Santana will open the series against the Yankees on Friday night. So Santana gets a full week of rest. Then they'll bring back G on Saturday and push Nice back to Sunday, which means Nice will have a full week of rest. Out to left center, and Chambers chases into the gap. One away.
Well, I agree 100% with the way they line it up. I think Hefner deserves another start. And it also, I don't like the idea of Dickey pitching on 3 days rest. So let's just go through it. The club's playing well. You know, obviously I think Hefner might be the odd man out once you go through this rotation.
Yeah, I think he's just in there for a spot start, and we'll see what happens from there with Jeremy. But Dickey, coming off the complete game, gets regular rest. But I think also, lost in the shuffle of that, Santana getting the full week, I don't think is a surprise as David Wright takes outside. But John Neese getting a full week. Now, he had that problem again with the rapid heartbeat that he experienced in Texas last year, and he was going to get seen by doctors today. As Freese throws out right 2 away, and they don't think it's a big deal. At least what they've expressed publicly is that they don't think that the rapid heartbeat thing is a big deal. But it's interesting, isn't it, that they're giving him a couple of extra days of rest.
Particularly coming off the 6 innings yesterday with the 10 strikeouts, career high 10 strikeouts, where he really had it all working, had a really good breaking ball, the curve. And you kind of want to keep him on that rotation, and maybe you're hoping that it snowballs here and he gets into a roll. So I guess I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to. I can't comment in that regard.
Here's Duda with 2 out and nobody on, and Lucas takes the curveball for ball 1. Meanwhile, Kyle Loesch, who's really been struggling since his early spurt of success at the start of the season, is off to a roaring start today. He's retired 11 of the first 12 batters. Daniel Murphy would be next. Loesch behind on Duda 2-0.
And Duda drives one deep right field, right down the line to the Pepsi porch, and it's out of here. Duda crushes one. His 9th home run of the year to tie up the ball game.
Wow. This is what I see in Lucas now. That's been a big improvement. More aggressive. You don't get it inside, you pay the price. Or you get it down and in, he can drop the barrel, and he's got all kinds of power. That's his 4th home run this homestand.
That's a very strong man. He had 3 in a 2-day span, in a 2-game span, Wednesday and Friday. And now he crushes this one.
Loads on the back foot. Beautiful balance. He's a low ball hitter. That was a cutter, and it was inside, but it was down. And I always said, Garrett, I've been preaching this, that Lucas, anything from the belt down, he's got to get all over it and cover it.
Well, the Mets have now homered in 7 straight games. They've added some power to their methodical offense. It's the longest streak the Mets have had with a home run in every game since May of 2009. Their first year here at Citi Field. And Duda's had a big part of it. 2 pitches that were very close that Murphy takes off the plate. It's 2-2. Murphy had a shot to second base that Descalso handled his first time up. And Loesch continues to pick and goes from 0-2 to 3-2. You see 16 home runs in the last 12 games after just 7 in the previous 19. So the Mets have been a team that has been focused on plate discipline and putting the ball in play, but now they've added that power piece. Murph slashes one to third, and Freese grabs it to end the inning. But the Mets get even after the Cardinals had taken the lead at the top of the inning. Lucas Duda solves that 2-0 cutter well up in the Pepsi porch for his team leading 9th of the year to tie it at 1. Fifth inning in a 1-1 game. Daniel Descalso will lead off against Dylan G. Descalso struck out his first time up. The Cardinals getting a run in the fourth. A double by Holiday. A run scoring single by Craig. Mets starters had gone 27 straight innings without allowing a run until the Cardinals finally scratched against G. That 27 inning streak, 8 shy of the Mets club record. Mets starters had a 35 inning scoreless streak in September of 1969.
How did I know it was 69?
Started with Ryan, then Gentry, then Kuzman, then Cardwell, and then Seaver tacked on 2 innings, but it was Seaver who gave up the run that broke the streak on a Willie Stargell RBI in September 13th of 1969. Here's the 3-1, and that's ball 4. So Descalso's on with a leadoff walk. First walk given up by Dylan G. Let's answer our AT&T trivia question. We asked about the 5 other players besides David Freese who've won LCS and World Series MVP. I know Livan Hernandez, and there are the others. Willie Stargell in his co-MVP season.
Well, I knew Darryl Porter was one.
Hershiser, of course, and Cole Hamels in 2008. 3 pitchers on the list. Here's Adrian Chambers, the center fielder. Did you lose something?
My heater just fell over.
Chambers fouled out to the catcher his first time.
Well, at least it wasn't the camera this time.
I'm just afraid we had lost the entire broadcast. Gee, all of a sudden having trouble throwing strikes, and so Mike Dickey's out for a conversation.
Just to get those folks up to speed, last year I walked into the booth and we have our open camera on a tripod here, and I bumped it and it fell down. It's a very expensive camera and it broke it.
Did they take it out of your paycheck?
Well, Kurt threatened.
Have to have some delicate negotiations there.
Well, I just told him, well, I'll quit.
Oh,
and that was it.
Well, we can't be having that.
He caved.
Well, that's a good sign. And, the next time your contract is up, 1-1 to Chambers with the pitcher Loesch on deck. Descalso not a base stealer at first base. Chambers, though, at the plate has outstanding speed. Descalso just 1 stolen base this year. Chambers, remember we saw last September, got a big pinch hit 3-run triple in a game the Cardinals had to have late in the year as they were making their unlikely run first to the wild card and then to the World Series title. 2 balls and a strike to Chambers. Chambers starting in center field for the 2nd straight day. The Cardinals have used 3 different starting center fielders in this series. Remember, their regular center fielder John Jay is on the disabled list. So they started Beltran in center in game 1. And they started Shane Robinson in center in game 2. There goes Descalso. Nickius' throw is high, and Descalso has a stolen base. So Descalso stealing just his 2nd of the year.
Well, Cardinals trying to make things happen here. They've been struggling mightily to score runs, and this is what you got to do. If you got speed, make it happen.
And Nickius knew with a better throw he would have had a shot at him. So now for the 2nd straight hitter, G's behind 3-1 with the pitcher on deck. And Chambers punches one in the air. Murphy comes in to grab it. 1 away. So 1 out. The pitcher Loesch coming up. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin.
Guys, obviously the fans still reveling in the no-hitter by Johan Santana on Friday night. But I asked Terry Collins today if he thinks it really did help the team at all. And he had an interesting answer. He said, I really do believe that it gave us the credibility that we've been looking for. So, that was a big thing. And we go out and get a no-hitter from our pitcher. We made big plays in that game. A lot of guys stepped up. And I do believe that, some guys inside that room definitely said, you know what? Maybe we are pretty good in here. But I thought that was a neat statement that, a lot of times in this game, playing every day, there isn't a carryover. But Terry Collins did think that it had some effect. We'll see going forward.
Oh, I agree 100%, Kev. I was walking around the last 2 days I was off in Sag Harbor. I was packed out there, all the New Yorkers out there for the weekend.
Duda playing shallow, coming on to call off Murphy for the second out.
I was stopped in the street countless times by people that were just gushing over the no-hitter.
But do you think it can have an effect inside a clubhouse? I mean, this is a team that has overperformed outside expectations for a third of a season, and now you have this seminal event. Can that galvanize a ball club?
I think it can. I think because of everything surrounding it, the circumstances. Santana, a year off of surgery. The example set of hard work to get back to where he is, and not only get back to get on the mound. Remember, in spring training, we were worried about whether he'd last the whole season. Could we get 34 starts out of him? Would he tire and go out there and throw a no-hitter? I think it's very inspirational. I really think it has more of an impact on the pitching staff than it does the regular players. I mean, the regular players I know love to play behind Johan. I would love to play behind Johan.
Well, guys, how about for a couple different guys? David Wright, who's been here through a lot of negative, tough things. Actually, you know, breaks go the team's way. Some positive things happening. And a guy like Chris Young, who's making the start tomorrow, coming back from the same surgery, who watched that no-hitter. I'm sure he's inspired by that.
Well, that's got to be the case. I mean, after all, before Santana, the only guy who'd ever really come back from the surgery has been Chien-Ming Wang, who we'll see in that upcoming series. But his comeback has been muddled at best. And here's Chris Young trying to do what Santana has done and come back from that anterior capsule surgery, and he's certainly got to draw some inspiration from it. Quintanilla throws out for Call, and G works around the leadoff walk. Halfway through, it's 1-1. Ike Davis leads off the home fifth and takes a curveball for a strike from Kyle Loesch. Davis swung at the first pitch and fly to left his first time up. Davis, Quintanilla, and Nickius in a 1-1 game in the fifth. And another curveball in for a strike, and it's 0-2. Three curveballs in a row.
Why not?
It was at the beginning of this homestand that the Mets reassured Davis that he would not be sent to the minor leagues. And on the heels of that, he had a couple of good at bats.
Pinch hit three in a row.
But since then,
when he starts, Gary, he struggles.
Just 2 for his last 20.
You see there's the pattern right there, leading him off with the curveballs away. 3 curveballs in a row, change up in the dirt. I mean, you can go up the ladder here out of the strike zone bat and then go back down the dirt. They want to go fastball away. I wonder why. I don't think Loesch wanted to throw that for a strike.
You keep waiting for signs watching Ike, but then last night he had about as bad a game as he's had in a couple of weeks. It's 3-2 now to Davis. So it's hard to know what to think.
He shows you something and then it's a regression. Another fastball. Wow, 3 in a row.
Here's the 3-2, and he hits it sharply, but right at the Scalzo, playing Rover. 1 out. SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com.
Nice play, Murph.
Now Quintanilla, who lofted a double into the right field corner his first time up. I want to send out our best wishes today to former Mets GM and now occasional radio guy Jim Duquette. Jim is undergoing surgery today to donate his kidney to his daughter Lindsay, who's been suffering with kidney disease since she was just a baby and has undergone countless surgeries and hospitalizations and has been so brave. And turned out Jim was the best match for his daughter, and so they decided to that it was time now for Lindsay to have a kidney transplant. So we're told that Jim has just gotten out of surgery to remove the kidney and that they're about to embark upon implanting it into Lindsay. So all our best to the Duquette family. Jimmy is one of the great people, and it's a wonderful family, and we hope it all goes spectacularly well. 2-2 to Quintanilla. And Jimmy had the distinct pleasure of filling in with Howie on Friday night for Santana's no-hitter.
I did not know that.
Josh was away at his daughter's high school graduation, and Jim Duquette filled in. Swing and a miss. Quintanilla down on strikes. So Loesch has his second strikeout of the day. 2 out and nobody on.
I got a last-minute call from my sprinkler guys, Stefan at Waterworld Irrigation, and his daughter wanted to go at the last minute, and he called me in the night before and said, "Can you need tickets for my daughter? That's her birthday." And I said, "Sure." So she had 4 tickets, and she came, saw a no-hitter.
Stefan, not the guy on Saturday Night Live.
No. So how about that? And these are diehard Met fans too, so they're all out there on the island. You know that.
There are a lot of great stories from Friday night.
Oh,
it
man.
goes on and on. On the field, on the air, in the stands. Nickius lines one, and Descalzo picks it off, and Loesch gets the Mets 1-2-3 in the 5th. G goes back to the mound for the 6th in a 1-1 game.
For the Cardinals as Carlos Beltran bats, and it's been kind of a quiet series for Beltran simply because he got that nice ovation Friday, then no hitter, no runs for the Cards. Never heard from him pretty much until now, but I'll tell you what, he's had a great season, as the guys have talked about. And Mike Matheny, the new manager of the Cardinals, I spoke to him about having Beltran, and he said, you know what, I know Carlos for a long time. I actually played winter ball with him when he was brand new with the Royals, so I knew him back then as what type of guy he was. And I would describe him as maybe one of the most efficient players I've ever been around. And I thought that was a really neat adjective, efficient. You know, doesn't waste steps, doesn't waste swings, anything like that. A very good thing about Carlos is the one thing I've learned, too, as Murphy will try to retire Beltran and does. He said, you know, the thing about him is, and I did get a hint of this playing winter ball with him, is it's not about him. It's about us. And he's really been great with that, trying to kind of mold this team into the character that it's hopefully going to be. Guys?
Well, I think we saw in some ways the best of Carlos last year at a time when he was an inspirational figure last year in his ability to come back and play the way he did after all the knee problems that he had. But I think even more importantly than that, he became a more vocal, more outspoken leader in that clubhouse. And it's something that I think that he was able to do a little bit of early in his Mets career, but really came to the fore last year for the 4 months that he spent here before the Mets traded him. Holiday pops one up in foul ground, and Davis should have room, and does as he picks it off for the second out. So 2 out and nobody on. Time to check in with Chris Carlin for a Fujifilm game break. That's what happens when you get the green light on 3-0.
Well, you're supposed to wail.
Here's Yadier Molina, who's 0 for 2. Now, that was the longest home run in the majors this year, but I was more impressed by Carlos Zambrano hitting one 427.
Well, he takes a hack, Zambrano.
But pitchers aren't supposed to hit the ball that far.
Well, Gibson, there's always those rare pitchers that come down the pike that can swing the bat like a regular player. Zambrano's one of them.
Usually when pitchers hit home runs, they're wall scrapers.
He's a strong man.
And he's pitching awfully well too. But the Marlins are playing great right now. They had a wonderful month of May. They've continued it into June. They are part of the virtual 3-way tie for first place in the National League East, which the Mets can break with a win today. They can take over sole possession of first place since the Nationals and Marlins are off today. And the curveball in for a call, strike 3. Molina down on strikes. 6 strikeouts for Dylan G as he gets the Cardinals in order in the top of the 6th. Mets will set out to try to snap this tie in the bottom of the inning. 12 MLB All-Star Game in Kansas City. Vote up to 25 times by logging on to Mets.com or LosMets.com and cast your ballot for your 2012 All-Stars now. Vote early, vote often, vote Mets at Mets.com. Dylan G's probably hit the ball as hard as anybody other than Lucas Duda in this game today. He hit a bullet to third base that David Freese somehow knocked down and then went all
through his legs.
Metal Lark Lemon on us. And G unable to make contact this time, and so Kyle Lohse has his third strikeout. So Lohse has retired 5 in a row since Duda's home run. 1 out in the home 6th, and now Kirk Neuenhuis, who has struck out and grounded out to second. Lohse has not had a decision in his last 4 starts, and that's not a good thing. He has not been pitching well. 5.7 ERA in those 4 starts, but he has pitched very well today. Andres Torres waits on deck.
And Freese at third base playing in for a potential drag bunt.
Neuenhuis strokes one out to left center, and Adrian Chambers back in the gap. 2 out. So 2 up and 2 quickly disposed of by Lohse in the home 6th, and now Torres will bat. Andres is over 2.
The Cardinals have really missed their center fielder John Jay, who hurt his shoulder on the disabled list. He was off to a great start, the left-hand hitter. Kind of a spark plug type player.
And of course, he had one of those game-saving hits for the Cardinals last year in Game 6 of the World Series. Twice the Cardinals were down to their last strike of the season, and each time they responded. First Freese and then Berkman, and then Freese hit the walk-off home run to force a Game 7. It was one of the most remarkable baseball stories of the last couple of decades. The way the Cardinals came back from the dead last year. I mean, there were so many great stories on that final day of the season, but for the Cardinals to complete that World Series victory was about as unlikely as anything that could have happened.
Well, the Cardinals made the great run. You remember they were what? Well, they're on August 20th. Everybody wrote them off for dead, and they made the great run, winning but 34 of their last 50 games, and that also included the postseason. But they made a great run to get in as a wild card.
Broken back grounder, and Descalzo waits on and throws out Torres. So Lohse has retired 7 in a row, keeping it a 1-1 game as we head for the 7th. been a pitcher's duel this afternoon. Mets continue to get just ridiculous starting pitching throughout this series. 30 innings by the starters, 1 run allowed. Alan Craig will lead off in the 7th. Craig has driven in the only Cardinal run today with an opposite field single in the 4th. 1 for 2 on the day, and he takes up and away for ball 1. It'll be Craig, then David Freese, and Daniel Descalzo for St. Louis in the 7th. G has walked 1. He's struck out 6. Pitch count very reasonable at 80. And a fastball in for a strike, 1-1. It was funny last night because the Mets had gotten the no-hitter from Santana on Friday and then got the shutout from Dickey on Saturday. Terry Collins was bound and determined to get his bullpen into the game. It was one of the rare times when he didn't necessarily want his starter to go that deep into the game. And so he managed to get 4 relievers in last night. And here is G pitching into the 7th and giving the bullpen another blow so far.
Did you ever notice whenever we show a shot of Terry down there in the dugout, Terry Collins, of course, his eyes are wide open. He's chewing that gum. He is so on point, so alert. You never see him yawn. He's just very focused on the game. That's what he's paid for.
You know, his passion is amazing, and we've seen it in so many different ways over the last year and a third. We've heard the emotion in his voice at the end of last year and again on Friday night after his very difficult decision making regarding Santana. Here's the 2-2 to Craig, and it's outside ball 3. I saw it in a different way today. Terry was asked a question about, you know, all the young players that the Mets have called up and the production they've gotten from them, and the question regarded Terry's performance 2 years ago when he was the minor league field coordinator. There's a 3-2 from G, and Craig tops one foul. And he was asked what he had tried to implement as field coordinator that he might see paying off now in terms of all these guys coming up and being productive. Did he see any relationship between what he did there and what's happening now? And the passion in his answer was amazing. And what he was talking about was changing the minor league philosophy.
Right.
From one that emphasized being successful in the minor leagues to one that emphasized training guys to be successful in the major leagues. In other words, at the low minor league levels, rather than taking a hard thrower and trying to teach him a changeup, first working on his fastball command, figuring that if he doesn't get fastball command, that he would never be successful as a major leaguer, even if he could dominate at those lower levels.
There's no doubt about that. And
there's ball 4, and Craig is on.
I remember I worked with Daniel Murphy a little bit at first base that spring training when he took over as field coordinator, minor league field coordinator, and he came over and introduced himself to me and was involved, and I was helping Murph around first base. That's when I decided to lose weight because I had the pitcher in the post and I had the big boiler. But
with the short shorts.
Yes. Okay. But Terry came over and was very involved, so I got a taste of him right there. It's infectious. His personality is infectious. But I would love to play for him.
But I thought what he said was so interesting because I don't think every organization sees it that way. As this one's driven to center field by Freese. Over goes Torres toward the gap. Craig will go to third, and the Cardinals are in business, 1st and 3rd and nobody out. So G all of a sudden in a spot of trouble here in the 7th inning, and that'll get the bullpen cranking as Dan Warthen calls down to get an arm up.
That's only the 5th hit he's given up in this game.
So now Descalzo, who has struck out and walked today, 0 for 1.
Well, from what I've seen from G and Gary, we talked about it in between innings. If you're paying attention, left-hand hitter, G's been in trouble. He's popped the hitters inside, as you see with John Roush getting up. This would be a perfect time to go up there for 1 strike and look middle in.
Middle infielders back, looking for the double play, willing to concede the go-ahead run. And a check swing tapper, so the runner will have to hold at third. Throw to second, skips by Quintanilla, and Craig comes in to score the go-ahead run. Now the Mets got a break on the comebacker, but G threw it into center field.
Well, they had double play here, and G did not look back the runner here at all. And the runner was breaking. You saw on the left of your screen. He was going to go on the throw to Quintanilla.
So it's an error on G, no RBI, as Craig comes in to make it 2-1.
And we'll take a peek here. Watch. You come down here. You can't run. You come down the line. Once he throws, yes. Well, he was indecisive. Boy, oh boy. Didn't know what to do.
Well, but you're right. G did not check him.
And I thought that Quintanilla probably, well, another throws in the dirt. It's a short hop. You think he'd make the play. Sometimes it's not. It looks a little easier up here.
So now Adrian Chambers, the number 8 hitter. Pitcher on deck, so you wouldn't think he'd be sacrificing. Chambers 0 for 2. He's popped up twice, and he takes the fastball low.
And by the way, I was right in my observation. You see where that first pitch was? Inside corner fastball. You're laying some serious high weeds.
Well, it keeps working for him.
It's all about observing, you know. The report may say G throws the changeup and this and that, but every day is different.
Back past the mound, Quintanilla fumbles it and gets it to Murphy, but too late, and the bases are loaded. Rough inning for Omar Quintanilla. Couldn't pick up G's short hop, and this time unable to make the clean grab here.
Oh, he looked up too quick, Gary. He played back the long hop nicely, but he looked up too quick before he got the ball out of his glove. Before he secured the ball in his glove.
They're going to score that a base hit for Chambers.
Really?
A very generous scoring decision.
I don't agree with that at all.
And now, looking to go for the kill, Mike Matheny will send up Matt Adams to pinch hit for Kyle Loesch. So Loesch now has a lead. And Matheny trying to get him more as he sends up big Matt Adams to pinch hit.
Oh, Matt Adams was minor league player of the year in Double-A last year. This guy has hit everywhere, and you see Dan Warthen out in the mound. G here got himself in a little bit of difficulty with his errant throw, and then the next following play with Quintanilla botching the ground ball. But I agree with what Matheny's doing here. His team has struggled for runs. He's got to go for the coup de grace here.
So Mark Zepchinski up in the bullpen for the Cardinals, and he'll be pitching in the bottom of the inning. Well, G has got 2 comebackers in a row. One that he threw low, the other that skipped under his glove and Quintanilla couldn't handle. So now he's in a mess with a run already in. Bases loaded, nobody out.
And at the corners, and a big shift.
And Adams takes a curveball for a strike. Adams started the first 2 games of this series. He's 0 for his last 13. Freeze at third, Descalzo at second, and Chambers at first with nobody out.
Big kid. There you go, fastball in. He's been using that effectively.
Threw that quickly ahead 0-2.
Right by him, up and in. You see him just collapse his hands there. He just got whipped.
Now the 0-2, and he gets him on 3 pitches. High fastball, and Adams is disposed of rapidly. That's the first out of the inning.
Quick work. 7th strikeout for G. Up the ladder.
So 1 away. Loesch leaving after just 76 pitches. Now with a lead, but certainly hoping for a bigger lead before handing off to a Cardinal bullpen that has been struggling lately. Roush continuing to throw in the Mets bullpen with G up to 95 pitches.
This is more of a traditional defensive positioning here. Back for 2 up the middle, in at the corners.
Tough man to double up in for Call, who's 1 for 3 today, particularly from the left side of the plate. And the curveball bounced slowly, and that'll go foul.
He is beat for Cal. The last at bat, he struck him out. Remember the first at bat of the game with all fastballs, 3 straight fastballs. Got a base hit, and then the last time up in the 5th, he jammed the heck out of him with a fastball in. He's going to go back in the well there. And getting to my point, Garrett, whatever the computer tells you about G, and we'll watch this pitch. There you go, fastball in. You pay attention. G's got his fastball. He's locating it good. You know, maybe the computer over the course of the season, there's a lot of games where he doesn't have that control in there against the left-hander, and he shies away from it. You've got to pay attention to what the pitcher has this game. You watch from the dugout. He's burning left-handers in. Well, he's burned me in twice. Well, I'm going to look in there.
1-1 for Call, and he goes away with the changeup, and it's 1-2. So now has he set him up to come in again?
Well, now you got to hit. You're 1-2. You can't take chances. You got to go up there and go up the middle and really protect the plate.
1-2 to Franco. And again, he comes inside with the fastball. It's 2-2.
G has really used the inside corner today against the lefties. I'm really impressed. Very impressed.
Carlos Beltran on deck. G about to throw his 100th pitch of the day. Two.
Tap to third. Diving stop by Wright. Out at second. No chance for a relay. And a run comes in. It's 3-1 St. Louis.
Want to see here if Wright had a play at home. Tough chance. Nice play. That's 2 runs if that gets through. Murph, who's had injuries there on slides before, he pulls a ripcord right there and bails out. I don't blame him. No shot for 2. Just get out of the way.
How about that hand coming up from Chambers? Is that clean or not? That left hand that he kind of raised up almost like a forearm into Murphy as he slid by.
It's clean. As long as you slide within the distance that's necessary at second base. Was it body length? You should. Yep. It's a clean slide. Nothing wrong with that.
So 2 runs are home in the inning. First and third and 2 out for Beltran, who's 0 for 3 today.
Nice play by David.
Well, it certainly saved an additional run and got G an out. But a run came home. There's no way him diving to his left that he can scramble up and throw home, is there?
No, I don't think so. It's good that he got the lead runner. I mean, not the lead runner, but he got the runner going into second. Now you only got 1 guy in scoring position. Oh, almost hit him.
Yeah, Carlos swings and misses at the curveball. 2-1. This inning for the Cardinals is reminiscent of the one the Mets had on Saturday when they scratched out 3 runs and hit only 1 ball out of the infield. That's the way it's been for St. Louis. Freese had a base hit to left center. Everything else has been on the infield, and yet the Cardinals have scored twice. Now the 2-1. The runner goes from first, and they will let Franco go. So Franco picks up the uncontested stolen base, his 9th of the year. And now 2 are in scoring position for Beltran. You got Holiday winning on deck, which makes it hard to pitch around Carlos in this spot.
Big pull on the defense on the right side of the infield.
He throws him a 3-1 curve and gets a strike.
Now that's the curveball that, I hate to bring it up, that Wainwright dropped on Carlos to end that season in 06. Right there. That is just a wicked pitch.
Well, he's been vulnerable to the curve in this series as well.
He always has been vulnerable to a down breaking ball.
And he gets another one and goes down swinging. So G takes care of Beltran to end the inning, his 8th strikeout, but the Cardinals scratch out 2 runs and lead it 3-1.
4 to Universal Orlando Resort, courtesy of SNY and Toyota, where you'll enjoy 2 amazing theme parks, nonstop nightlife, and stay on site at the electrifying Hard Rock Hotel. Just go to sny.tv/Toyota and enter the Toyota Fan Flyaway Sweepstakes.
Well, you know what? A couple bad breaks there. David Wright steps into the for his third at bat. Excuse me, 0 for 2 today, and there's the left-hander coming in. Last year's postseason hero, one of them for the Cardinals, Mark
Zepchinski.
Okay, thank you.
That snaps 3-1. David Wright takes a strike. Now, Zepchinski was in 12 postseason games last year, and he was magnificent in the LCS and the World Series. They got him from Toronto in that Colby Rasmus trade. And David lofts one toward the middle and just beyond the reach of Descalso for a leadoff hit. So the Mets trying to strike right back. Get the tying run to the plate with Lucas Duda coming up.
Well, Lucas, home run today is 9th. 4 home runs in this series. Homestand, excuse me.
And remember, he had not hit a home run against a lefty all year until he hit one against Cliff Lee on Wednesday night, and then he had another one later in that game against Raul Valdez.
This has been a Cardinal bullpen. There's Mr. Francisco.
It's a little early for Frank Francisco.
Getting in some work.
He pitched in the game last night. You don't usually see Frankie warming up in the bottom of the 7th. And Duda takes it low for ball 1. Duda grounded out, then lofted one up in the Pepsi porch for a 2-run homer. For a solo home run, his 9th of the year. You see the Cardinal bullpen, which was pretty good in April, but horrible in May. And Zepchinski falls behind Duda 2-0. More left-hand hitters to follow, with Murphy and Davis behind Duda in the lineup. Lucas has already had 2 home run games this year, including the one Wednesday night against the Phillies. It was a 2-0 pitch that he drove out of the ballpark his last time up. This time the 2-0 pitch grounded down to first. And Craig makes the play for the first out as Wright moves up to second.
You know, you're in a 3-run ball game, a 3-1 ball game, 2-run lead. From a defensive point of view, now you got Craig, who's not, you know, a great fielder over there. That's a routine ground ball. It's too hot. Get the lead runner. Keep the double play in order. Keep that second run, potential second run, out of scoring position.
Can I just tell you something? From Mike Matheny's standpoint, he's just thrilled that Craig got it out.
Well, okay, I agree. Okay.
You know?
I hear you. I'm just being a perfectionist.
Gotta start small. Here's Murphy, who's 0 for 2. He's hit the ball hard twice. And he grounds this one weakly down to first base. And Craig makes that play for the second out as Wright goes over to third. So now 2 out, and Terry Collins is going to pull like Davis and send up Scott Harriston as a pinch hitter. There's nobody up in the Cardinals bullpen, so they're committed to the left-hander. And Terry's going to take advantage of that and send up Harriston, who has 6 home runs this year, feasts on lefties. He'll be the tying run at the plate, batting for Davis.
And that's why I think Terry ran him up there, and maybe the fact that there is no right-hander up to back up the lefty. Take a chance here. Try to get back in the ball game.
So Harriston batting for Davis. Scott is 2 for 14 as a pinch hitter this year, including a home run. And you see what Harriston has done lately. He has just been crushing it. Getting a lot of opportunities to play with the Mets, seeing a lot of lefties, although not in this series. And he takes a strike 1-1. Now, Mike Matheny is a first-year manager, first-year managing anywhere. Him not having a right-hander up in the bullpen, is that a little bit of an experience, or was he just comfortable knowing that this situation might arise?
Well, I'm sure he's got confidence in his left-hander. He's the one guy. The bullpen has just been a real problem for the Cardinals this year. I've got to think either what maybe he got caught with his pants down. Who knows? If he doesn't, then he doesn't show a lot of confidence in the right-handers down there.
Vinny Rotino, by the way, has come out on deck to bat for Quintanilla if Harriston keeps the inning going, and so Eduardo Sanchez, the right-hander, gets up now in the Cardinal pen. 2-1 to Harriston, and he pounds one foul. 2-2. Mets will be facing more right-handers in Washington. By the way, they missed Strasburg in that series. They get Jordan Zimmerman, Edwin Jackson, and Chen-Ming Wang, but more right-hand starters faced all righties in this series as well.
Well, the Mets went through that patch where all they faced was left-handers. Remember, Gary?
They'd much rather face righties the way this team is composed.
Well,
John Roush staying busy in the Mets bullpen. Dylan G at 106 pitches through 7 innings. Wonder whether he'll go out there again if his spot doesn't come up in the order.
You know what? When you got a pitcher pitching good like Dylan, and he got himself a little bit of trouble, didn't get any support, but he got out of the inning, you kind of want to leave him in there and give him a chance if your club comes back and get him a W.
2-2 to Harriston, and he watches low and away, and Harriston runs a full count. You got Rotino on deck to bat for Quintanilla. I would imagine that Vinny will probably come in the game to play first base anyway. I don't think they're ready to move Duda to first base. So Rotino probably the best option at that spot. Right at third with 2 down. Zepchinski trying to get the Cardinals through this bottom of the 7th. And Harriston attacks, hits it deep to left field. Back goes Holiday for a look, and it's out of here! Scott Harriston ties the game with a pinch hit 2-run homer. Every button Terry Collins presses seems to come through. They left the lefty in. They didn't have a righty available. He sends up his lefty, Buster Harriston, and Harriston hits the 2-run bomb to tie the game.
Breaking ball. Oh boy, helicopter right in the wheelhouse. You still got to hit it, and Harriston has been doing that with regularity of late. He has just really done a terrific job.
His 7th home run of the year. His 2nd pinch hit home run of the year, and he gets the Mets even at 3-3. Second time today that the Mets have fallen behind and come back the next half inning to tie. And that'll keep Quintanilla in the game to bat. With the game now tied, Quintanilla 1 for 2 on the day, and he takes a strike. Well, the Mets have hit 2 home runs today. Log on to SNY.TV/Dwayne Reed to print out your coupon for $2 off any Good and Delish snack nuts and cookies redeemable at any Dwayne Reed location.
Delish.
Good and Delish. Well, the Mets have scored 3 runs today. They've all come with 2 out. That's 121 runs this year with 2 out for the Mets this season. Harriston coming off the bench to bat for Davis, and it works out brilliantly.
Boy, what a job that young man's done. Boy, oh boy.
Quintanilla takes strike 3 called, the inning over, but the Mets with their 2nd home run of the day rally to tie against Zepchinski. Harriston does it again. A 2-run bomb, his 7th of the year. Mets 3, Cardinals 3 after 7. At ninth, John Roush will hit in the number 6 spot on the order as he comes on to a 3-3 game in the 8th. Tomorrow the Mets open their road trip, first of 3 in Washington. Chris Young will make his first start after surgery 14 months ago. Jordan Zimmerman will go for the Nats. 6:30 the coverage tomorrow night on SNY. And for more on the Nationals, who are still technically in first place in the National League East, let's check in with Kevin.
They've hit a little bit of a rut, Gary. Lost 4 of their last 5. But, you know, I talked to Scout to get a feel for them and a feel for Bryce Harper. All the hype. Is it is it worth it? And the Scout basically said, yeah, believe it. I mean, he said as far as the Nationals go, they're the best team that he's seen this year. And basically because of their starting pitching and guys like Harper. And he saw the Nationals without Michael Morse and Jason Worth. As far as Harper goes, he said, you know, he's just a big part of the new attitude of that team. Think about it, 19 years old, and he's basically changing the attitude there. And he gave me an example. There's a game against the Phillies. He said he singled. Then there was a fly ball, medium range center field to Victorino, and Holliday's got himself a base hit off Roush. Victorino catches the ball. Harper tags from first to second base. Next batter hits it to Victorino again in center. Again, Harper tags, goes from second to third. He said he's done that type of stuff since he's come up, and it's been completely infectious. Harper, by the way, 288. He's got 6 doubles, 4 triples, and 115 at bats. It's going to be fun to see him play, guys.
And you know, Kevin, obviously Harper has deserved all the attention he's gotten, but the other rookie in that lineup, Steve Lombardozzi, who's now playing every day in left field, he's been terrific also.
Well, he's leading all National League rookies in the batting average. He's having a heck of a year. Remember, Davey Johnson was raving about him in spring training.
Yadier Molina cracks one into right center. Over comes Torres to call. And back to first goes Holliday, 1 away.
You know, Keith, Scout said something interesting. I want to get your take about Harper. He said, you know, he's not arrogant. He's just confident. What's the difference, Keith?
Well, it's all depends on the individual. Everybody's different, Kev. You know, some guys I played with that put up a great front. Underneath are just a well of insecurities, and other guys that exude confidence and have it. But what I see from him, what I like from him, he plays hard. He's cut out of the mold of Pete Rose. For me, the way his approach to the game, how he runs everything out hard. Kurt Gibson type of player.
Here's Alan Craig with 1 out and 1 on. And takes low and away for ball 1. Craig drove in the first Cardinal run with a 4th inning single, walked and scored in the 7th.
I'll tell you one thing, Bryce Harper can fly. He is quick, and you're an infielder. You have got no time. You get a ground ball, you've got to get it and get rid of it.
Well, he's got the speed, he's got the strong arm, he's got the power. He brings everything to the table. 2-0 now to Craig.
Well, I think they see Eduardo Sanchez up. I mean, I got to believe, though, he tagged up on Victorino. He caught Victorino asleep.
Big pitch here for Roush against a dangerous hitter, Craig. And he gets it in for a strike, 2-1. Well, the thing that's plaguing the Nationals now, right, is their bullpen. I mean, it was a strength at the beginning of the year. Now with Tyler Clippard slid into the closer's role, it's a little more problematic. Tim Burdack up in the Mets bullpen. Craig hits one to left field. Back goes Neuenhuis to the track at the wall. It's out of here.
Wow.
Alan Craig with a 2-run homer puts the Cardinals back in the lead. His 6th home run of the year, and it's 5-3 St. Louis.
Well, you have 2 clubs here that have identical problems in their bullpens. Inconsistencies. This is a high fastball that Craig just launches. High fastball. Oh boy, down the middle, and Roush knew it. 3 RBIs for that man in this game.
Well, Roush struggled in his last outing last Wednesday against the Phillies. Got 4 days off and comes back today. Gives up a go-ahead 2-run homer. Tim Burdack, Bobby Parnell up in the bullpen. So it's the 3rd time today that the Cardinals have taken the lead. Each of the first 2 times the Mets were able to come right back and tie on Duda's home run in the 4th and on Harriston's 2-run pinch hit home run in the 7th. And now Roush behind on Freese 2-0. Freese is 2 for 3 today.
I'm sorry, I got to say it. That is a good looking uniform, isn't it?
I might agree with you, but it might not be the best time to say that.
Well, just an observation. I'm here to observe.
3-2 now, Freese.
I can't help it. I just always loved that uniform, even as a kid.
You didn't like the blue ones, though, did you?
I didn't mind the powders. The fans love the powder blues.
I don't get it.
The St. Louis fans. What I missed when I playing days in St. Louis was when I grew up. The Musials was on his way out, and Ken Boyer and the Gibson era coming in was the road uniform with the Navy helmets and the Navy hat, and we always wore the reds. I always liked the way they looked, the Navy hats on the road with the gray, with all that red.
Do you mind the fact that the Cardinals have given your number to their first base coach?
Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm long gone. I'm ancient history.
That's Chris Maloney,
I never liked that
first
number.
base coach.
I never cared for that number, to be honest with you. I told you Reggie Smith had 7. Dizzy Dean 17 was retired.
He went around, strike 3.
Yes, he did.
Freese is out on strikes for the second out. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Lexus. By New Era, the official on-field cap of Major League Baseball. And by Topps. Look for golden giveaway code cards and packs of Topps baseball cards. Then visit Topps.com/golden to unlock cards and win prizes. Pitching change coming. John Roush out of the game after giving up the go-ahead 2-run homer. Tim Burdack coming on in relief. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Fios. Welcome to America's fastest, most consistent, most reliable internet. Welcome to Life on Fios.
Well, you can see right there the specialist 30 games. You Met fans are very familiar with Tim, and John Roush not happy with how things transpired for him today's game. The 2-run home run to Alan Craig.
Daniel Descalso 0 for 2 in a walk today. Burdick came in to retire him last night on a fly ball to right, and he gets ahead of him here 0-2. So Roush went 2/3 of an inning, allowed 2 runs, 2 hits. Bobby Parnell staying busy in case the inning continues beyond Descalso. Burdick ahead 0-2, and he throws the slider, and Descalso stops the swing. Ball and 2 strikes. Adrian Chambers would be next, another left-hand hitter. Outfield very shallow against Descalso. And he goes down on strikes, so Burdick gets his man, but the damage done in the top of the 8th. Alan Craig snapping a 2-2 tie with his 6th home run of the year. 3 RBI day for Craig, and a 5-3 Cardinal lead as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Let's take a look at today's Pepsi Max Field of Dreams legendary opponent, and who's more of a legend than the Wizard of Oz.
Oh boy.
13 Gold Gloves, 15-time All-Star.
Remember the first game of the World Series, he never did it before, and everybody knows Ozzie for doing the backflip, running out to his position. Well, he didn't unveil that till game 1 in the '82 World Series. The Queen.
60 years.
How about that?
Still on the throne.
Great. Quite a remarkable woman.
Eduardo Sanchez will pitch the bottom of the 8th inning for St. Louis.
Well, he was up last year, had 26 games in relief, and did a really fine job in 30 innings. 3-1 with a 1.80 earned run average. He's a hard thrower.
Josh Tolley will bat for Mike Nickius, leading off in the home 8th. By the way, Ozzie Smith's also a candidate for the Pepsi Max Field of Dreams roster. Be sure to visit MLB.com/Pepsi Max to enter for your chance to play ball with MLB legends. Tolley caught the first 3 games of this series. 3 hits and 11 at bats since coming back from the disabled list. And Sanchez starts him off with a fastball for a strike. Vinny Rotino hitting 9th in the order is on deck, and then Kirk Neuenhuis as the Mets try and fight back for a 3rd time today. Fighting back has been a big theme of the Mets season. They've already had 14 come from behind victories this year. And the breaking ball sits high to Tolley, a ball and a strike. Kyle Lohse went 6 innings, allowed a run on 2 hits. He'll get a no decision. Mark Zepchinski worked an inning allowed the 2-run homer to Scott Harriston, yet he stands to be the winning pitcher. Sanchez throwing a couple of breaking balls to Tolley, and it's 2-1. Victor Marte staying busy in the St. Louis bullpen as right now Mike Matheny doesn't quite know which way to turn with that pen as Tolley hits one up the middle for a leadoff hit. So a pinch hit single for Josh Tolley. Mets are now 2 for 2 pinch hitting today.
Well, this has been a seesaw affair today at Citi. Cardinals striking first in the 4th with a run. The Cardinals Mets countering in the bottom half. Cardinals taking the lead with 2 runs in the 7th. The Mets countering with 2 of their own.
By the way, Met pinch hitters are now hitting .302 for the season. That's an extraordinary pinch hit.
That's a big number. That is just production from the bench.
So here's Vinny Rotino batting for the first time. Came in on a defensive switch in the last half inning, and he takes outside from Sanchez 1-0. A look at the Mets box score presented by Verizon Fios, and not pictured there. The biggest hit of the game that was for the pinch hitter Scott Harriston in the 7th inning. A 2-run shot that tied the game. Mets now find themselves 2 behind again with Rotino the tying run at the plate. And he hits one deep to right, but it's playable for Beltran. And it's caught for the first out. 1 out and 1 on. Let's go to Chris Carlin in the studio. He has a Fujifilm game break. Santana will come back on Friday against the Yankees in the Bronx with a full week of rest.
If Chris Young can come back and pitch like the Chris Young of old, the healthy Chris Young of old, boy, what a boost it would be to the rotation.
Neuenhuis is 0 for 3. Well, the thing about Young is at no point in his career has he been healthy and unsuccessful. When he's been healthy, he's been successful. And it's an amazing thing because you look at a guy who's 6'10", throws 83, 84 miles an hour with his fastball up in the zone, but all they do is pop it up. Neuenhuis smacks one to left center, chasing Chambers back and slicing away, and he can't get it. One hop against the wall. Tolley to third. He'll be stopped there. Neuenhuis at second with a long double. And the Mets have the tying runs in scoring position with 1 out.
I thought that Chambers kind of coasted here a little bit, and that ball just tailed away from him. Maybe I'm wrong there, but that ball definitely tailed away. And Tolley, nice read right there. You're down 2 runs. Mets in business.
So a base hit to tie the game again for New York. Andres Torres 0 for 3 today after a 3-hit, 2 RBI performance last night.
Freeze in at the corner. Cardinals are obviously going to concede this run.
Second and third and 1 out. And the pitch from Sanchez is a slider low and in for ball 1. Jason Mott, the closer, is going to get up here in the 8th inning. We mentioned before that Mike Matheny's not quite sure where to turn, and so Mott getting ready in a hurry. Perhaps to come in here in the 8th. And Torres hits one to deep right field. That'll get a run in. Back goes Beltran to the track to make the grab.
Wow.
Tagging at third is Tolley to come in. And Neuenhuis over to third. It's now 5-4 St. Louis. And Torres didn't miss a 3-run homer by all that much.
Boy, I tell you what, you're right about that. And look at Carlos. A little bit of difficulty. Not the Carlos of old, you know, with the bad knees. Always so smooth with the outfield glove. The great strides of Carlos Beltran.
And I think also, he's played right field in this ballpark with the deeper dimensions. I think he was a little unsure of exactly where the fence was.
But just got that changeup away enough.
So Matheny is ready to make a couple of changes here. They'll bring Tyler Green into the game, and he'll go to his closer Jason Mott to try to get a 4-out save. Mott enters with the tying run at 3rd and 2 out in the 8th inning. We'll be right back to Citi Field. Comes in to play second base. He'll bat 9th. Daniel Descalzo goes to 3rd, and the pitcher Jason Mott will hit in the 6th hole as Freeze comes out.
Well, Jason Mott last year had 9 saves for the Cardinals. They finally settled on him to close for the second half of the season for the Cardinals. Got the final out in last year's World Series.
So he comes in to face David Wright with the tying run at 3rd and 2 out. We'll see how carefully he works to David, who's 1 for 3 on the day. And Wright takes the fastball off the plate for ball 1.
Well, we know one thing about Mott. He's a hard thrower.
He's a former catcher at Iona College in New Rochelle. And he's got that catcher's delivery from his ear. And he can bring it. 98, 99. And there's the fastball at 97 for a strike. Frank Francisco hoping the Mets can at least tie it, or even better, get him a save chance in the 9th. That's a score to run here in the 8th. Neuenhuis at 3rd and 2 out. And Wright takes up and in. By the way, when David scored in front of Harriston's home run in the 7th, it was his 735th career run scored, and he now has tied Jose Reyes for the Mets career run scored record. He's already got the RBI record. Working on the hits record as well. There's a strike. 2 and 2.
Well, fastball up and in, push David off the plate. He comes right back with an outside corner knee-high fastball.
Lucas Duda, who's already homered today, waiting on deck. That's down a run in the 8th. Mott with a 2-2. And David fouls off the fastball. Well, it's not often these days, especially this early in the season, that pitchers are called upon to try and get more than 3 outs at the end of a game. But when you're the Cardinals and you lost 5 in a row and your bullpen has really been struggling, sometimes as a manager you have no choice. And so Mike Matheny pulling out that card here today.
He's going to the whip.
2-2 to right. And he had a quick enough bat to foul that off.
Oh boy, David with a big uppercut there. Oh, he got beat. You can see that. Just Got a piece of it to stay in the at bat. You can see him collapsing that hand inside outing.
Now the 2-2. A little flare along the line. It's going to go foul.
Well, David going the other way with 2 strikes, and they're just not going to throw him away. They're going to continue to pound him. If Mott can have any kind of confidence to throw a breaking ball here, I think David would have a lot of difficulty. He's just up and into him 3 times in a row. But we'll see.
7 pitches deep in the at bat. And David's still in there trying to get Neuenhuis home from third with the tying run. Again, the 2-2. Too high. And David's worked it full.
Good battle here. Could be the out of the game right here.
That's a battle back to tie twice, trying to do it for a 3rd time. And Wright hits it out to right, but Beltran is right there, and that ends the inning. The Mets cash 1 run, but can't get the tying run in against Mott, who gets the first of what he hopes will be a 4-out save. 5-4 Cardinals as we go to the 9th. Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. 9th inning. Tim Burdock stays in to face the left-hand hitter Adrian Chambers, who takes a strike. Josh Tolley, who got the Mets started with a pinch hit single in the bottom of the 8th, stays in to catch. Chambers 1 for 3 today. Got a gift from the official scorer for a base hit in the 7th inning. Cardinals scratched out a couple of runs in the 7th to take a lead. Harriston tied it with a 2-run homer. Alan Craig's 2-run homer put St. Louis back in front, and the Mets got a run back in the bottom of the inning. So Bobby Parnell up in the Mets bullpen. Tyler Green, a right-hand hitter, is up next, and then the switch hitters for Colin Beltran. So this is probably Burdock's last batter. Burdock came in to strike out Descalzo to end the 8th. Cardinals with 5 runs, 8 hits. Mets 4 runs, 6 hits. And that goes to the backstop. 2-2. Get your attention.
See if you can dance.
Do you want to dance?
Isn't it? Oh, under the moonlight.
All through the night. Now the 2-2 and the breaking ball fouled off. Dylan G went 7 innings. He allowed 3 runs, only 2 of them earned on 6 hits. Another terrific start for G. That's got him off the hook, but then Roush gave up the 2-run homer to Craig, and he's on the hook in this game. Now the 2-2, and Chambers fouls off another one. This time a fastball from Burdack. Adrian Chambers starting just his 3rd game for the Cardinals since being called up from Memphis, where he was hitting .308. 38th round draft pick out of high school in Florida. So he's come a long way. Seventh pitch of the at bat from Burdack, and he comes up and in. He got Chambers' attention again. 3-2. Cardinals have gotten the leadoff man on and scored him each of the last 2 innings. And Burdack certainly doesn't want to walk his man here starting the 9th.
Seen a lot of pitches inside, moving hitters off the plate lately. I like it. Can't just sit there like you're in a rocking chair.
And he walked him. So Chambers is aboard to start the 9th. Tyler Green coming up. Let's check in with the studio, see what's coming up on WB Mason Postgame Live. Chris and Bobby, take it away. All right, guys, and here is the aforementioned Bobby Parnell coming in from the bullpen to try and put out a fire in the 9th. We'll be right back to Citi Field. Bobby Parnell in to pitch to Tyler Green with a runner at first and nobody out in the 9th, and Green up there to bunt, takes it outside for ball 1.
Well, there's Parnell's numbers so far this year.
Last night worked an inning. It was a struggle for him. He threw 27 pitches, walked a pair, but also struck out Carlos Beltran with 2 men on to get out of the jam. Here facing Green, who's up for the first time and looking to sacrifice, and pushes one to the right. And Parnell will make the play to Murphy. So the sacrifice successful. 1-4, moving Chambers to second. Well, a chance to look at it one more time. A piece of Mets history. Johan Santana's seminal no-hitter from Friday night will be rebroadcast tonight on SNY. 7 o'clock feature on Santana entitled Going Home, and then the game coverage begins at 7:30. All tonight right here on SNY. And by the way, Johan has just been named National League Player of the Week. Here's a shocker.
Congratulations, Johan. And all you fans are going to watch that with a critical eye. Pay attention to his changeup. Late in the game, but around the 7th inning on, he starts getting a lot of late sink to his changeup. The last 3 innings, late biting, sinking changeup, and that really became an effective weapon for him. Where earlier in the game, it was more of a fade changeup, stayed flat and or straight. But boy, oh boy, he found it the last 3 innings.
Arnell throws one pass for Collin. It's 0-2. Well, it's true, because you go back to the first 4 innings of that game. He didn't have his best stuff that day.
No, he established in, as he always does, particularly against the right-hand hitters. He hardly threw breaking balls the first 5-6 innings of the game, 5 innings. Then he started mixing in the breaking ball a little bit. That was a strike. And he started throwing his changeup more late. And, you know, he sensed that the hitters, you're on the opposing team, you don't want to get no hit. When you got young hitters, you're anxious to break up the no hitter. Makes you more susceptible to his great change.
Tap toward third. Wright looks the runner back and throws out for Call for the second out. So 2 away. Beltran coming up. We'll see if they prefer to pitch to him or to Holiday in this spot with first base open. By the way, the Mets have now had the National League Player of the Week 2 weeks in a row. Santana won it for this past week, and R.A. Dickey won it for the week before. First time the Mets have had back-to-back Players of the Week since last September, when David Wright and Jason Bay won it, and the first time that the Mets have had pitchers win back-to-back NL Player of the Week awards since 1983.
83, they were stinkers in 83.
83. Beltran skies one shallow left. On comes Neuenhuis, and you know who won it in 83?
Tell me.
Jesse Orozco, back-to-back weeks. He didn't have a whole lot of help. Mets come up in the bottom of the 9th, down by a run.
They were the Stems.
Last of the 9th, the Mets down by a run. Jason Mott came in to get the final out of the 8th inning with the tying run at third. Now he faces Lucas Duda to start the last of the 9th, and he misses high with the fastball for ball 1. Duda hit his 9th home run of the year up into the Pepsi porch in the 4th inning. 1 for 3 on the day. Duda, Murphy, and the pitcher's spot due up for the Mets in the bottom of the 9th. And a foul ball
He's throwing some heat up there.
The Mets have 2 players left on their bench. Jordany Valdespin from the left side, Josh Satin from the right side.
Well, this is a Cardinal bullpen that has 8 saves on the year and out of 16. That is not good.
Duda pops one up, shallow left. Holiday was playing deep with plenty of time to get in to make the catch for the first down. A past tragedy created a focus on safety for the Garfield Little League. SNY and City helped them purchase proper equipment to keep their kids safe with the SNY Play Ball Award. Now it's your turn. Help your league with a $5,000 grant. Apply for the SNY Play Ball Award presented by City today at sny.tv/playball. Daniel Murphy 0 for 3 on the day, and he slashes one foul. Murphy has an 8-game hitting streak on the line here, trying to get something started for the Mets here in the ninth. Jordany Valdespin on deck to bat for the pitcher Parnell. Murphy has got 208 at bats into his season without a home run. Be a nice time to get his first. Pops this one up foul, and it's 0-2.
He's going to have to get the barrel out a little quicker to do that. He's got 2 thrown by him.
Mets already have 3 runs against the Cardinal bullpen today, but Mott, the closer, trying to stay out of that company. And he is throwing hard. A Cholula flamethrower at 98.
Well, I just had that on my omelet the other day.
Murphy trying to find out of an 0-2 hole. And Daniel takes it just out of the strike zone, 1-2.
Well, the Cardinals trying to get out of Dodge here with 1 victory. They lose this game, they sink under 500.
Now the 1-2 from Mott. It's too high. Well, the Mets have never swept a 4-game series in New York from the Cardinals. They famously swept a 4-game series in St. Louis in April of '86. That's when Whitey Herzog conceded the division in the first month of the season.
That's when the walls came tumbling down.
Two to Murphy, and he fouls that one off at 98. We get another Cholula.
Oh, well,
I'm told it's only 1 Cholula per night.
That's all you can handle.
Seventh pitch of the at bat coming from Mott to Murphy. And Daniel wastes another one away.
And that's where he's got to go. I mean, there's no guesswork here. Mott's just coming after you with cheddar. He's up and in, and that's just completely beat inside and fighting it off.
Mott had 2 saves of more than 3 outs in the regular season last year, and then he did it 2 more times in the postseason.
They've got a long flight ahead of them. They're going on their way to Houston for 3.
Again, the 2-2, and Murphy goes down swinging for the second out.
Wow. I tell you what, that was right down the pipe, belt high, and you don't see Daniel Murphy get beat too often with a fastball. You just don't see it. So that says a lot about that gasoline he's bringing in.
A little hop to it.
Jeez.
So the Mets are down to their final out, and Jordany Valdespin will try and bail them out. Valdespin has only 2 hits in the big leagues. One of them, of course, was a memorable home run against Jonathan Papelbon in Philadelphia. Jeremy Hefner up in the bullpen, just getting some work in. Hefner's scheduled to start on Wednesday in Washington. So here's Valdespin, and taking all the way a strike. If Valdespin can keep it going, Omar Quintanilla would be next. Mets with 4 runs and 6 hits. Cardinals 5 runs and 8 hits. Alan Craig's 2-run homer in the 8th off John Roush, putting the Cardinals in front, and now Mott trying to lace this one up. And Valdespin takes a second strike. And now he's got only one more to work with. Here's the 0-2. And Valdespin out on strikes, and the ball game is over. Jason Mott faces 4, retires 4 to get the save, and the Cardinals salvage the finale of the 4-game series. The Mets finish off a 7-4 homestand, and they'll go to Washington a half game out of first place in the National League East.
Well, seesaw game today, guys, and Cardinals jumped out in the 4th. 1-0. Mets bounce back with Duda's 9th, make it 1-1. 2-1 Cardinals, 3-1 Cardinals in the 7th with 2 runs, and then Harriston's pinch hit 2-run shot that tied the ball game. Cardinals come back with the 2-run home run from Craig off of Roush, who got the loss. They get 1 in the bottom half of the 8th, but they fall short one run, Garrett.
So the Cardinals snap a 5-game losing streak. The Mets have a disappointing end to a very successful homestand, and now they'll start a 9-game road trip in D.C. tomorrow night. Coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night at 10:30. The draft is this evening. We'll have reaction to that. More about the Giants and the Knicks as well on Geico Sports Night all night, every night, starting at 10:30 only on SNY. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by State Farm. Today's State Farm agent of the day is Pat Cawley of Glendale. Contact Pat's office at patcawley.org. By City on June 28th, play softball at Citi Field and get cheered on by special guests Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry. Learn more at Mets.com/City Softball. By Toyota. When you choose Toyota, you get a lot for less. Toyota. And by Geico. Cardinals hand the Mets a 1-run loss this afternoon. 5-4 the final score. Mets win 3 out of 4 in the series. Now move on to D.C. Chris Young makes his season debut for the Mets against Jordan Zimmerman. 6:30 the coverage tomorrow night right here on SNY. Now for Keith Hernandez, Kevin Burkhardt, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. Time for WB Mason post-game live. Let's join Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda, guys.